That's an undesirable amount of play, but welcome back to Spank Ranch Garage. That's pretty wallered out too. So yeah, this old 410, we're getting into the sloppy hoe of the deal here. The main sources of slop is this linkage here, pretty bad. And then also the whole extenda-hoe is pretty slopped out as well. I can fit my entire hand between the boom and the sleeve that it goes in. I mean, look at this gappage here. You can at least fit your pinky in. So let's get this bucket off and start looking into what we're dealing with here. Oh yeah, another point to mention before we take this apart. Notice you have several positions of bucket linkage action here. This is in like the truck loading position, which gives you the most amount of curl at a high distance like that, so you could get over the side of a triaxle. But this also severely limits your actual curl power. So if you look at your distance here between your main pin and this, if you were to move this part to here, you've almost doubled your leverage. So that makes a big difference. And then you can also play with these. The distance here dictates how far the bucket's gonna open. It's like if you wanted to like create a vertical wall, you may wanna grab this pin, that way it's the bucket's more open, or you can grab the higher position and get a little more curl out of it, whatever you gotta do. So anyway, I'll probably put it back together in the digging position, not the loading position. We don't really need this, but that'll be a nice increase in power as well when we do that. Also, we have a pretty gnarly crack extending all the way around the top of the bucket, all the way around, and it terminates somewhere in here, and this has all been re-welded before. So I'm gonna throw the bucket in the truck, go to my buddy Jesse's house. He's getting experience of fixing up these buckets, so we'll torch that out or whatever and weld it back up. Bucket's in here. Probably not gonna have a way to get it out once we get there, but we'll get this crack welded up. I'm gonna drink a bunch of cold sodas. It's the day before Thanksgiving. This interface is actually pretty nice. It looks like somebody already welded a new tube and main bucket bushings on this machine. Luckily, we don't have to do that. That's actually very good. Like, that's a little too good for my standards. So we'll take that win there. But where we really need to make a difference here is going to be on this. This linkage here is just atrocious. And then these pins, they have a little play, but these don't actually have bushings, it doesn't look like. So we may just live with that, we'll see. Curl cylinder bushing is actually okay, despite the grease fitting being broke off. That ain't too bad. We can live with that too. I think the majority of this bucket slop is coming from the linkage bushings, the top mount up there on the extenda-hoe, and a little bit of this. So not too bad, really just 3 fixes here. The bucket's in really good shape, surprisingly. Those bushings are like new. Alright. Something's a little torqued up here. Put a 2x4 up here so you don't smash your hands. Bushing looks great. Looks like it started to walk. Or is that 2 bushings and one of them's not all the way in? Looks like more the case. Easy fix there. This is really our problem child here. This thing is freaking hammered. Let's see what that looks like. Look at the neck on that pin too. That ain't helping. Damn! This thing's seen better days. It's been broken numerous times and rewelded. So how are the bushings in the actual stick? They're not terrible. If that pin wasn't all necked, probably fit okay. Yeah, it's not too, so when you get it down to the necked area, obviously it's terrible, but you bring it out to full diameter, I could probably live with that as well. So I don't think I'm going to replace any bushings in this stick here. We'll just make new pins. We have to make new pins to install our thumb anyway, so that's an opportunity that I won't waste. But yeah, these are non-greasable. That directly shows. This looks like a whole bushing falling out of here. That's good. And wow. Yeah, so see, that'll cause some slop there. That sucks, because that's really a line bore job. Don't know how we're gonna fit that one on the mill. The bushing's all right, just the boom is so hammered out. Damn! Look at the egg on this thing. Damn. So they used this thing with a jackhammer for many, many years, hence the fish plates and the welds everywhere. This boom has seen absolute disaster, but still pretty straight. It'll work for me. Even the lock pins have been blown off of it. I mean, there ain't much that hasn't been busted off of this machine yet, so I won't be the first person to terrorize it. That collar didn't come off as nice as I wanted to. I ended up having to cut the top out of it. This boom was really spread and had that thing under massive amounts of tension. So much so that as I was cutting across here and it was only held in this corner, it actually tore this plate. That's probably already cracked, but is this water or hydraulic fluid? Water. That's nice. All right, so now that this slot is open, you can run this piece all the way out. We can either pull the pin here, leave the cylinder in the stick and pull the extendable part out, or there's a snap ring over here. You can pull this pin out, slide the cylinder up, which is probably desirable because you can't get to these hoses too easily without doing that. And then look at this. There is a thick piece of aluminum, like 1/4 inch aluminum, twisted up and jammed in here. Oh yeah, buddy, that worked textbook. That's what I was planning on. Now I get to these hoses, and then somehow we're gonna pull this whole assembly out. It probably weighs 1,000 pounds. Not quite sure yet how that's gonna happen, but. Are those male pipe? There's a whole thing coming apart. Cool, so that's the bottom of the cylinder. Now I don't know if this cylinder could fall down in here, so we'll probably want to put a strap through it and start pulling it up towards the cab. Release that pin, drag that thing out the top. This thing isn't wildly heavy. It's maybe a 2-inch cylinder. There it is. Oh wow, I actually know what this is. This is not what I thought it was. That is a problem, but we'll get into that later. Look at this little schlong here. Pretty long cylinder, but it isn't very big. Maybe that's 1.25 inches. It's probably a 2-inch bore, but this thing is leaking, so that's why we're doing this. If you remember a couple episodes back, we did a test where we capped the lines off and this cylinder was dropping like a foot every hour. That would be our suspect, so we'll rebuild that while it's out. I'll have a soda for that one. So this piece that I thought was a piece of a bridge or something from the top, this is actually once was a 1/4 inch thick square aluminum plate that would actually be bolted in here as a wear plate. And both of the wear plates are missing, they're gone. And what's on here are just welded like 1/4 inch flat stock, which is fine. I think from the factory, these had aluminum or brass, depending on what vintage they were. Oh, also could have came from here too. I forgot there was wear plates on these. You can see the bolt pattern there. It's gone. Nothing on this side either. So the majority of the slop in this hoe is actually from the sides. There's nothing there. So we're gonna weld plates on here and in here. And then I'm gonna add, I'll do some measuring, but I'll probably get another piece of 1/4 inch and either put it on the bottom or the top, whatever side needs it more. These look pretty healthy. You can see here, I don't know if you can, but you can see there's a track down the center there where those two wear bars are working against this steel here. So this boom is ugly as hell. It's all welded up and cracked and stuff, but it'll work. It does work and it will work, so. To the big smoking gun for the extendable dipper stick here. This thing is supposed to take an 1.5 inch pin with a 1.5 inch by 1 7/8 inch hardened bushing, and you can see this is horrible. Well guys, it's got to look worse before it looks better, but we should have enough wall thickness to put a proper bushing in this now. It's going to be a really interrupted cut. It's going to be generally a pretty bad time machining this, but nothing else to do but to go do it. gonna test out America's most versatile machine tool here. Yeah, it really be like that sometimes. You gotta make the small shop work for you. This place is an absolute wreck. Look at all this crap everywhere, but we got room to make it happen, no problem. We're 3/1000ths below the size. That would be a 3/1000ths press fit on less than 2-inch bushing. I think it should be more like 2/1000ths, but I'd rather just heat this thing, heat it and beat it, than have it work its way loose. So I think we're gonna call it there. It's always a little hairy to pull this thing out of the fixture because you'll never find that perfect center again. Not that any of this really matters like that, but screw it, let's try to get the bushing in. And there's something very satisfying about taking a totally egged out hole, filling it with weld, and then boring it round again. Even if you don't really have the tools to do it right, pretty cool. So I'm gonna heat this up and hit it with the hammer, see how it does. If not, we'll build a little puller and we'll get that turd right in there. Here goes disaster. Just kidding, it's perfect. I knew it would be. That's what's up, baby. Pretty freaking cool. So we got a hardened bushing back in here. We're gonna be putting a new pin in it. Important that this is nice. That is fantastic. This is fantastic. This is fantastic. Everything's fantastic right now. Next on the chopping block is this roached out backhoe link, bucket link, whatever you want to call it. And the challenge I'm going to have here is how do I align the bores. So I'm going to punch this bushing out, make new bushings, harden them, press them in. But how do I make sure they're in a line? Obviously line boring is the right way to do this, but we don't have that equipment. So I'm gonna figure that out on the fly. I have an idea. It's not gonna be amazingly accurate, but I think we'll get away with it. Once again, not a how-to channel, just how I'm doing it. Just wire brush the crap out of it. Certainly makes all your surface finishes look like butthole, but it's better. It's harder. I don't know how hard this file is. I don't have like one of them kits with different files. I don't think this will ever get better than like 35 anyway, so you know, I don't know anything about metallurgy. I'm just kind of winging it out here. So if you guys have any ideas with that other than don't use 4130 because it's not really ideal for this, it's just what I had on hand, but curious, you know, what I would do differently. Well, I was just getting ready to bore this H-link for our new custom semi-hardened bushings, and something interesting happened. I was at a scrapyard buying some other John Deere 410 parts, and I noticed that machine had a very fresh H-link on it. It's actually a different design. It's a fully cast piece, and the bushings on it are literally brand new. I mean, this fitment is excellent. So, I guess I'm gonna just abort fixing that other one, and we'll just use this cast one. I'm not sure why this is cast. Maybe this is off a B model. Maybe John Deere changed their stuff, but this is an actual John Deere part, and it is in phenomenal shape. And the best part is I got it for free. So you got to take those little wins. I probably have 2 hours into building the bushings for that other one we were going to use, but I'd rather just use the new one, not have to worry about line boring it, getting the pins to line up, nothing like that. I would say I'd bore the other one and keep it as a spare, but I don't think I'm wearing that out in my lifetime. So now with that completed, we can jump back to the actual extendable stick here, flat stock from the steel supplier. We're gonna clean this thing up and weld these on the bottom. That will take up some of that play that we have top to bottom. Sunday night, and I'm out of MIG wire. Great, so I guess we'll resume this another time. Never mind, through the magic of hoarding, I found a little 2-pounder we can use to finish this off. Fresh wear strips on this thing should be good. It's an interesting situation when you know, things pull and cool differently when you weld them. It's interesting to see when you're welding down here what that tail 8 feet away is doing. Kind of makes it pretty obvious. It's kind of cool. But anyway, this is good to go now. So now we'll work on the side wear plates. All right, so these are 3/16 cold rolled. We're gonna use these as our side wear plates on both the stick and the boom. These are a little longer than the John Deere plates, so we'll get a little more surface area here, and should take up most of our slop. We could bolt these on. I just don't see any benefit to it because it's just as easy to torch it right back off, so I think I'm just gonna simply weld this thing on. So that's done. Wear plates are on both sides. New bushing in here, wear strips on the bottom. This stick is done. So I'm gonna roll it outside. Done with that. Well guys, I hate to do this, but this video is getting a little long. I'm gonna have to break it into 2 parts. The reality of the matter is this is a lot of work. I've been working on this for several nights and days, weekends, whatever. It's really good to have this thing fully disassembled. Fixing this bushing here was huge. This is gonna take so much slop out of my bucket system. Getting the extra wear plates on, these wear plates on. We're gonna put some more on the boom next episode. We still got to figure out rebuilding this hydraulic cylinder. I'm actually hitting some problems with that right now, which you'll see in the part 2 episode. And then we'll get this thing all put back together. Maybe make a couple more bushings and pins to tighten things up a little bit further even. And we'll go from there. It should be good. Right now I'm waiting on hydraulic hoses, so the machine's all taken apart in the yard, waiting on hoses. Once they come in, once we get the hydraulic parts we need, put everything together, we'll be out digging. So thanks for watching Spank Ranch Garage. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments, and I'll see you next time.